I don't like Boston teams. I'm from St. Louis, and I
Serious?
don't like Boston teams.
What was the catalyst? How did that start?
You complain about us talking about it ad nauseum. So I
I
try
wasn't
to move
complaining.
it
We talked
on.
about it as nauseum.
So I'm trying to move on, and then you egg me
I
on to
wasn't.
say it. All right, so
I wasn't so much complaining
for
about
the ad nauseum.
I'm joking about it.
For the ad nauseum time,
Ad nauseum.
I don't like.
Fuck you.
I don't like Boston teams.
Suck it! There you go. A Zoom delay probably goes down stupid as shit. Yeah. Because from what I'm doing, we're doing it at the same time.
Same.
The recording is probably going to be slightly off.
Maybe.
Anyway, all that being said, what's going on, everybody? That was the quote that got a lot of us in trouble in school because we didn't know what the hell we was doing. We were like, oh, these cool adults are doing it. And then we wound up doing it in school, and you find out how many years later, oh, no wonder they didn't want us doing that. I didn't need to be 7, 8, 9, 10 talking about suck my dick. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? This is the Whatever We Want podcast. I am your host, Jazz, or you can call me Superjaz, SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you in the life. And as always, I am joined by the other co-host of the show.
Oh, y'all know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feogrande on YouTube. Occasionally I'm referred to as Pete on the show. And I'm in a good mood, Jazz.
Well,
we'll get to it.
Before you do that, let me finish the last little bit. Because then we're gonna make true on the statement that I'm about to say, which is, as I said, this is the Whatever We Want podcast, where we do just that. We talk about whatever we want. We don't lead the conversation. This conversation leads us, and we let these chips fall where they may.
Every Wednesday.
And to get the ball rolling, why art thou in a good moodeth?
2022. Was not off to a good start. Some may say it still isn't. 2020 part 3 didn't have a good come into the year. And I was like, man, and I might have mentioned it on a previous episode, but I'm like, damn, this really is not a good year. Because in the NBA Finals, we've got the Boston Celtics on a fucking tear.
Of course, this
ready to win the championship against the Golden State Warriors, and I was like, and they lost. The Celtics won the first game. I tweeted it out. The series is over, and I hate everything. But I was wrong, and I don't like being wrong unless I was wrong about things like this. Because the Golden State Warriors defeated the Boston Celtics and are now champions for the 4th time in 8 years.
Which is crazy.
Steph Curry, got to finally get that Finals MVP that people were saying, well, he can't be that good despite all his records and championships and stuff because he doesn't have a Finals MVP.
Did he never have Finals MVP all the times that he was one of the main contributors to bringing them to the Finals until this year? Really?
Nope.
He was like,
like
MVP in the whole league. The way people were talking.
He's a 2-time, I think, NBA MVP. He's the only person to be unanimously named MVP. Or one of the only people to be unanimously named MVP, like when they did the MVP voting, everyone said, that dude, Steph Curry. He's one of the only people to have that happen. And now, he's the only person to be unanimously named regular MVP at some point in his career and unanimously named Finals MVP as of this year. But
Oh, so he's the only person to get
a
the
unanimous voting for
NBA and NBA Finals MVP in the same.
yes. Well, not in the same year, but in his
Oh,
career.
okay.
In his
Okay.
career, at some
Really?
point, because other people ain't even done that. In
That's
they point with MJ 6 times, with fucking LeBron's 4 or Kobe's however many. None of them ever got
they
unanimous
never got
both.
both. Oh shit.
No, none of them
Man.
had ever gotten both of those unanimously. There's always some dude that's like, I don't think so.
That fifth dentist.
Yeah, that fifth dentist.
The 4 out of 5. That
Yeah,
fifth.
a lot of people got hit with the case of the fifth dentist. But Steph got the finals MVP. To answer your question about his previous finals wins, the first one, which was the only one that you could have really given it to him aside from this one, was when they beat LeBron when Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured, and it was LeBron and the Cavs versus the Warriors, who these up and coming Warriors that maybe this is their year, and sure enough they won. But the main reason people didn't want to give it to Curry is because they also were like, well, I know it's technically supposed to go to the player who played the best in this series, but we can't give that to the guy on the losing team because LeBron outplayed everybody on that court that year. If they were to give it to the actual best player on the court, as opposed to the best player on the winning team, LeBron would have won it that year. However, because the Warriors won and the Cavaliers lost, they decided to give it to Andre Iguodala because he was defending LeBron James and held him to a mere 39 points a game or however many points he had. They're like, you know what? Somehow, LeBron, with all he did, still lost. How did he lose? Well, Andre Iguodala was defending him. Give it to him.
That just kind of adds to how much of a beast LeBron is. Then,
like, you held him to a mere 40 points a game, and you get the fucking Finals MVP. But no, Iguodala's still a great player, or whatever.
No, I know.
Then the two championships after that, technically, Steph was not the best player on the team. Kevin Durant was. So Kevin Durant got those, and now Kevin Durant's gone, and Steph got this. And I thought it was crazy because much like with LeBron, you have your detractors that are like, Steph Curry can't be that good. He needed help. Not necessarily he needed help from his other teammates because unlike LeBron, Steph's playing for the team he was drafted on with players that were also drafted onto that team. And they built their way up to this. They did it the right way. So, and I'm not trying to take anything from LeBron. I'm telling you what his detractors take away from him is the fact that LeBron had to go to other teams because nobody wanted to fucking come to Cleveland. And Cleveland's not a good organization. They had to luck into LeBron James to begin with. Just eye test from the non-basketball fan. But fucking Steph Curry and them. Oh, another thing they were saying is they're like, oh yeah, Steph Curry needed Kevin Durant to win those championships. Kevin Durant's the only reason Steph Curry has a legacy outside of his 3-point shooting is because of Kevin Durant. They forget that Steph and the Warriors won without him. They went 73-9, the best fucking regular season record without Kevin Durant.
Forgetting how many games they play in the
82.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
And they went 73-9 without Kevin Durant. They lost in the finals the second year to LeBron with a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Kevin Love. And that still took 7 games. So it's not like they got bodied. Like they were still technically the better team, but LeBron and Kyrie just, it wasn't happening that year. They're like, no, we're fucking taking this. This is over. Then the Kevin Durant years. And now they've won without Kevin Durant again because Kevin Durant's gone to the Nets. Kevin Durant had not made it past, I don't think, the second round, if not past the first round, since he left the Warriors. Meanwhile, the Warriors just won a championship again without Kevin Durant.
I remember Cause like you talk about you're not a basketball fan. I'm less of one than you. I talk about I'm a casual football fan. I watch a game, whatever, like it here. I do not watch basketball that much. Not because I don't like it. I just don't watch it that much at all. So you talking about you're not a basketball fan. Like I said, I'm less of one than you. But I remember hearing when Kevin Durant was first up joining Golden State a few years back, and people were shitting on that man's decision.
Well, yeah. He got beat. He joined the team that beat him in the playoffs. That was already like ridiculously strong, and he's just like, "I'm gonna go over here." Well, I can't beat him. It was like the epitome of if you can't beat him, join him. And they were saying it was worse than LeBron going to play with his buddies in South Beach to make their super team, because at least they were all three on like different teams. And two of them decided, let's go over here. It's not like LeBron lost to the Heat and was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go join them. He was just like, I ain't doing shit on the Cavs. I'm gonna go to join the Heat.
And you could kind of see in Kevin Durant's face, and I'm not saying like it really like got to him, like he's gonna cry. I'm not definitely saying that. I'm saying you would kind of see in Kevin Durant's face that he was kind of looking like around that time you could see he was just looking like he had a look on his face almost like I wish everybody would shut the fuck up. Like every time I saw him, he could
definitely
just see on his face.
That's definitely how he felt, and I get it. And that's probably also why he eventually left the Warriors. Is because he got tired of the fact that he's like, you know what, I can come here, I can win 2 championships, win 2 finals MVPs, and they still go, yeah, but that's Steph's team, and you still ain't actually did it, and he'll never get any credit. Like, he would have never gotten any credit for his wins in Golden State. Like, him and Steph Curry would have just both had their things, like, kind of tarnished and not been as respected as they could be. With the other one being there. It's like, oh, Steph's got 4 championships, but he got them from Kevin. But at the same time, Kevin's like, oh, yeah, well, you joined the team that beat you and made, the NBA All-Star team and blah, blah, blah. So, it's better that they split back up, but so far, it's looking like Steph is better than, or better off without Kevin than the other way around. So far, they're young. We got time.
It's crazy how and again, this is not me talking about Kevin Durant, just people in general. Not that he succumbed to it, but that a person could, like, how you could want to do something, but then everybody just talking shit just gets to you after a while, and you just like, shut up. Oh my God. Fuck it. I'm not doing it no more. Fuck it.
Oh yeah. No, it'd be like that.
Like if you were gonna go get cappuccino from the gas station and you got cappuccino every day, you got cappuccino, you're always like, Jazz always gets cappuccino. He's a cappuccino drinking motherfucker. How come you'll never get coffee? You don't like coffee? You can't do coffee? What? Is coffee too much for you? So after a while, like, fuck it. I'm drinking coffee. Fuck cappuccino. And I switched to coffee. And everybody's like, oh, did you switch to coffee because cappuccino? What? You gonna listen to everybody else? You can't drink cappuccino, make up your own decision. And it's like, look, man.
Yeah, they did the same thing to Kevin pre him going to the Warriors that they did to LeBron pre him going to the Heat. Yeah, he good and all. He's setting these records. But he ain't won no championship. He ain't actually good. He ain't shit. He's actually pretty terrible. He's just a big fish in a little pond that ain't gonna do shit. It's like a frog in the bottom of the well, unaware of the world around him. LeBron can't do shit. He ain't won no championship. Don't come talking to me about him being a good player.
Even though you didn't really hear anything about the Cavs until he played on them, and then didn't hear anything when he left, and then when he went back, heard about them again, and then didn't hear anything when he left. It's like, come on.
Oh, you mean when he left, when he was on the team, took them to the finals and lost when he was like 3rd or 4th year? I don't remember. Again, not super basketball fan. For people at home, you can kill me in the comments. But the bottom line is he was with that team, made them a perennial, playoff team, always in contention. And no one would really come to the team to help. They would just have to hope they drafted right or hopefully made a trade. I think the best thing they got while he was there was a Shaq that was on the way out. and couldn't really play the whole season, and it ain't work out. So and they're like, he don't get no championship, so he's like, fuck it, I don't have any other players with me either, so fuck it, I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach, play with my buddy Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And so he did, and then they're like, yeah, but he needed to go down there. Meanwhile, when he left the Cavaliers, they went from perennial playoff team to getting the number one pick in the draft like 2 or 3 times while he was gone with the Heat. One of which was Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie's a beast. Yeah.
And then with Kyrie on the team, they ended up with another 1 or 2 number 1 overall picks.
Right.
So it's not like Kyrie was going to just take them back to the finals on his own either. He couldn't, and that's why they got more number 1 picks. And then LeBron comes back, and hey, they're in the finals immediately with him and Kyrie, but Kyrie gets injured and they lose, and then the next year they win. And then Kyrie leaves, and they're like, well, LeBron was only able to make it to the finals and win because he's got Kyrie. So Kyrie leaves. Kevin Love's still not playing up to standards, and they make it back to the finals against the Warriors. But LeBron, this time, LeBron's got nothing around. It's just him versus the Warriors.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's so silly to be like, he took them, they didn't win, but they went to the championship mainly under one person. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be like, well, he needed this other dude. And it's like, he was doing that before the other guy came along.
Yeah, and then he left the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers ain't been back to the finals since. I think they were decent this season. I could be wrong, but they ain't been back since. And then he went to LA, who hadn't done anything in a minute. He hurts his groin the first season, and they don't make the playoffs. And then the next season, 2020 happens. And you can say bubble championship or whatever, but the bottom line is they won the championship his second year back. His second year with the Lakers. And, but they didn't make the playoffs this year. Yeah, they also had a shit ton of injuries this year. But, who doesn't? End of the day, congratulations, Warriors. Thank you. Maybe 2022 is not that bad a year after all. Boston lost the championship game.
So we've talked about this ad fucking nauseum, but care to tell people?
No, they know why. We talked about it ad nauseum.
Care to remind our viewers, either those who are returning and may need a refresher, or those who are first time joining us, why you care, since you're not as big of a basketball fan as you just admitted a little bit ago. Care to let them know, either remind them or let them know for the first time, how come Golden State beating the Celtics is such a big deal to you if you don't watch basketball that much?
Because the Boston team lost. I thought I said that right off the bat. I said it's a good year because, the Boston Celtics didn't win.
But what's the significance, seeing as how none of us
I'm from St. Louis.
No, you know what I'm saying? None of us are from Boston or New England, for that matter. And you're not that big of a basketball fan. So you didn't have much of a horse in this race on the merit of basketball. So care to let them know what?
I don't like Boston teams. Clearly. That's what I'm saying. I don't like Boston teams. I'm from St. Louis, and I don't like Boston teams.
What was the catalyst? How did that start?
You complain about us talking about it ad nauseum. So I try to move it on.
Talked about it as nauseum.
So I'm trying to move on, and then you egg me on to say it. All right, so
I wasn't so much complaining about
the ad nauseum.
I'm joking about it.
For the ad nauseum time.
Ad nauseum.
I don't like. I don't like Boston teams. It initially started because I'm clearly a geek, nerd, whatever. Sports wasn't exactly my forte in my youth. Eventually, I start watching football around 2001-ish or whatever, around that Greatest Show of Turf era. The first game, I technically saw 3 Super Bowls before that, but that was literally all I had really seen of football. And then
the St. Louis Rams, for y'all who don't know, Greatest Show on Turf.
Oh yeah, St. Louis Rams, Greatest Show on Turf. That's what they called themselves.
Yeah. Warner, Bruce,
But yeah,
Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, like amazing players back in
Marshall
like
Falk.
2000, 2001, all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a great team. So the Rams won their first Super Bowl. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start watching football more often. I had a home team I can be proud of. Eventually, they get humiliated in the Super Bowl by the New England Patriots.
I love the choice of words.
What? Losing is humiliating. They get humiliated in the Super Bowl by the New England Patriots. I don't like the Patriots. I also was on my big conspiracy shit at that time.
There's one that could be made.
And I was like, oh, you mean the season where 9/11 happened? And at the halftime of the Super Bowl show, we have a song where the guy's like singing about the courtesy of the red, white, and blue, talking about putting a boot in their ass overseas and stuff, where Americanism is at an all-time high. A team called the Patriots just so happens to beat a team that was far superior to them in the Super Bowl. And honestly, after their quarterback had a rule created so that he could make it to said Super Bowl.
Was that the Tuck rule year?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Tuck rule is how they got to that Super Bowl.
What was I gonna say though? No, it was like everybody that wasn't in St. Louis because of the fact of the tragedy that had happened that year. Everybody was like, yes, and like so happy, and they called like America's team won and all that stuff. Everybody that wasn't in St. Louis, I didn't even know. Because again, casual football fan, I didn't even know how the rest of the country felt about the Patriots winning around that same time that happened until years later. Because I was just St. Louis and like, damn, we lost. So
anyway, but yeah, everybody was just on Patriots mania, and and the rest is history. They haven't had a bad season. They've had like one bad season in the last 21 years. Yeah, and they had one bad season, and I think they got 5 wins in that season. Damn. If I had one 5-win season in the past, aside from that one season, actually, they made it to the playoffs last year. So yes, aside from that like one season, I don't think they had any other seasons where they got less than 10 wins in the past 20-something years. But initially, I just hated the Patriots. And I hated them by association. And I hated other Boston teams by association, especially after the St. Louis Cardinals, a baseball team, another home team of mine, got humiliated by the Red Sox in the World Series. A sweep is humiliating.
A sweep. Okay, a sweep.
We're talking about a team.
Patriots loss wasn't necessarily humiliating.
We're talking about a team.
But a sweep is.
We're talking about a team that at the time was the second worst franchise in baseball, having not won a World Series in 80 years. The fucking Red Sox beating the second best team historically, because they've won the second most World Series, in the Cardinals. In a fucking sweep. We couldn't take one game. That's humiliating.
That was when the Red Sox hadn't won in like what decades or some shit.
The curse of the Bambino. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It was at the time the second worst team in baseball history. We all know who the worst is. No need to pile on to them. I don't know about worst because I think they at least. The bottom line is they had a much longer losing streak than the Red Sox.
Who was that? I'm not playing. I don't know.
Really long losing streaks in baseball. No? The Chicago Cubs.
I was going to say Cubs. I wasn't sure. Okay.
I didn't want to pile on to them because this isn't about the Chicago team.
I don't
have a problem with Chicago teams. I don't think the Cubs are worth hating. What?
The movie Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon was about
the Red Sox. They had to change the ending.
They had to change the ending because they happened to win shortly before it came out. Yes, and they had to hurry up and change the ending to them winning.
Because the ending of the movie, the Red Sox fans assumed that team would never win a championship and had them lose in the movie about being a Red Sox fan and going to games. But then
It
they're
was
like,
like
oh shit, they won. So
it was like a romantic comedy about him. I forget who played his love interest, but it was Jimmy Fallon and somebody, and they were like, I think him in particular was a big baseball fan, lived in Boston. They never won, they never won, they never won, and they ended up loving each other over time or whatever. They was originally gonna be, they still didn't win, but in the end, it was like, we finally won. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the Cleveland documentary Believeland about how 60 years of them not winning anything and losing in humiliating fashion in like playoffs and stuff. And I do mean it because every time they lost in a championship thing, it became like a moment with the word "the" in front of it. The drive, the shot, the like whatever in baseball. Like there was always some legendary fashion in which they would blow it. And they made an ESPN 30 for 30 about it, where at the end they're like, well, one day we'll get them. And then LeBron and them finally win a championship. So they go record another ending for the future showings of it, where it's like, hey, these people that we got for this documentary, these hardcore Cleveland fans who have had to suffer through their whole lives, let's go get them going to that finals championship game.
Right. Like as a second instance of it was gonna be about how dang we keep losing, but we'll get them next time, and we were gonna lose in the end, and then it's like just like the movie and the documentary.
Well,
Oh,
Believeland
real
actually,
life they won.
well, Believeland actually released with them losing that
Oh
previous
shit!
year,
Oh
like
shit!
when LeBron lost for that first championship the Warriors won. Like
Mhm.
Believeland ended with that. So it did end in disappointment and air with disappointment. It's just shortly after it aired, the next year, bam, Cleveland wins. So they're like, well, we got to re-record the ending now and add an extra scene. Um. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, why I don't like Boston, or Boston sports teams. So
You must say you hate the whole city.
I
Your
don't
ass.
hate the I don't hate the whole city. I hate their sports team.
We'd be like, hey, Pete, like me, you, and my big bro. We'd be like, hey, man, let's take a road trip since we all, brother friends and shit. And then we'd be like, yeah, like we got time. Let's go all over the country if we can help it. All over the East Coast. And you like, yeah, we can go to, Connecticut. Yeah, we might, let's go all over New England. Yeah, let's hit Maine. Let's go to Boston. And you just say, go where?
No, I'm not
Sorry.
going to not step foot in Boston. They've got good doctors in Boston, and those are part of the reason I still have a nephew. So I can't hate the city, Boston.
That got serious as shit. Okay, cool.
But I do hate your sports teams.
Be like, hey, bro, let's go to a Boston, like let's go to a sports museum in Boston. Would you
No,
do that?
no, I don't need to look at a museum of Boston sports history because it's just a history of them humiliating St. Louis. Now
The way
we
the way
go on.
you said that, like no shit, Jazz.
The
No,
Patriots, no.
that's how you said
Of
it. Like the
course
fuck.
not. I'm not even going to humor the
Wait,
possibility.
you said it like I said, hey, eat this shit on a stick. Like no, the
No.
fuck.
Get, how dare thee? No.
That's how you said it. Yeah.
But no, so we all know what happened. History, Patriots, dynasty, haven't been bad for the last, 3 decades. Fucking, or going on 3 decades. Fucking, Red Sox, dynasty, starting with their humiliating defeat at the Cardinals. Begins their dynasty. Celtics, I had started to watch basketball around 2010 or 2009 ish. Because, again, like I said, geeky, not that into sports and the whatnot. And I guess my sports gene or whatever activated in my 20s because I started paying more attention to sports. But main reason I don't watch basketball more heavily or follow stats more closely is that there's 82 fucking games in the season. I ain't got time for that.
That's what I said.
So I watch
I be
basketball
forgetting
playoffs.
every like sport, for real, like major sport in America, at least I could say, except for football, I forget how many fucking games they play a goddamn season.
And the only reason football does it is because they will die.
Yeah, because like you have previously said on another episode, when the point of the game is throw yourself as hard as you can into that motherfucker to try and kill him.
You don't want to injure him seriously, but you want to take him out of the game.
Like, you're sending me mixed signals here, coach.
Take the motherfucker. And some coaches didn't even bother sending mixed signals. They're just like, I'll give you an extra $1 million if you get that motherfucker off the field.
Do everything you can to make sure he can't walk again.
Like, make sure, or at the very least, he can't walk for the rest of today. Like, that's football. But, so, there's that. But Celtics, they have their little run with their big three, which was before the Miami big three, and part of why LeBron's like, well, fine, I need my fucking own. Because they beat LeBron in the playoffs. So, yeah, I started watching basketball playoffs, finals, and stuff like that, mainly because of the advent of LeBron James. Yes, Michael Jordan better, blah, blah, blah. I loved Michael Jordan when I was a kid, too. I just wouldn't have been able to tell you why, aside from he's the fucking best.
He teamed with Bugs Bunny, bro. No, I'm joking.
I mean, that, too. And Daffy.
But, I mean, technically so did LeBron.
And now so did LeBron, because of course he did. What are we doing? But yeah, no, I saw like around then LeBron started showing he was on pace to be like, oh yeah, LeBron's done this stuff with his career at this point, and the only other person we can really compare it to are people like your Kobe's, your Jordans, your so-and-so stat-wise. And it's like, well, damn. But you had a lot of his detractors, and I'm like, well, damn, LeBron can't be that bad just because he ain't won a championship. Celtics stopped LeBron, and I'm like, well, of course it would be a Boston team that does this. And then I find out that the Celtics are like one of the most dominating teams, or they are tied now, by the way, for the most championships in NBA history for a team. They would have taken that title back if they won it this year. You know, so they could be like their football team, which also has the most titles in their sport. And it's also tied for it, actually. They would have, unlike, because I think the Patriots only have 6. They either have 6 or 7. I think the Patriots have 6 and the asshole has 7. I don't remember. But you know exactly who it is. People can put 5 and 6 together.
They might not.
Or rather, put 6 and 6 together, you get 12. There. So we go ahead and we fast forward. I don't like Boston teams. Primarily hatred by association because of the Patriots.
Excuse me, everybody.
20 whatever happens, and the Cubs of hockey, the St. Louis Blues, are finally in the Stanley Cup.
All of St. Louis watching with bated breath.
Well, yeah, because we only have 2 teams now, so we kind of have to. But I at least watched Game 7. But fucking, that was when it was revealed to me that, and things became a bit more clear for me, because it was revealed to me during then that St. Louis and Boston, for all the LA versus Boston rivalry narratives that are out there, St. Louis, and that's primarily because of Lakers Celtics, St. Louis and Boston, apparently at the time, if not still, were the only 2 cities to have met in the finals of all 4 American sports, or all 4 major American sports. Baseball, we got humiliated by, not only were we in those things, we had 60 plus years or so of that being the case, and for that 60 years, we were known as Boston's bitches that got humiliated in the finals. We always lost in humiliating fashion in the finals.
We were known like colloquially throughout.
When you don't win for 60 years, yes.
No, but I mean, I don't know if anybody was saying, "Oh, you mean Boston's bitches?" Like, I don't know if
Boston people did.
That was
They
all
might
over
have.
Twitter. It was like, oh, we won. This St. Louis. This is a fucking free championship. They can't
They
do
probably
shit
would
in
have said
St.
that.
Louis.
They probably would have said
We got to remember, the Patriots are also part of the reason the Rams were allowed to leave because Robert Kraft's like St. Louis fans don't deserve football.
I thought it was Crunky.
I said allowed to leave
Oh, okay.
because they broke some rules to go to L.A. But the
And
NFL was like, fine, because Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones is like, do it. But Jerry Jones was more like, ha, he's rich. He could probably make a cool stadium.
Speaking of broken rules or whatever, apparently I think like part of the city of St. Louis or somebody like I think was talking about taking them to trial because of the way.
Oh, we sued him.
And all this shit. Yeah,
St. Louis sued him. St. Louis sued him, and Kroenke didn't. And NFL settled, and they took money from all the other teams but LA to pay said settlement. So
seems a little silly to me to sue somebody because they left your city for it.
Well, if they don't do it the right way, if there are rules set in place and you clearly circumvent the rules to leave, there's a problem.
I'm not saying
that's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying that there is definite huge merit in that argument, and I'm not saying that the way they left, was definitely less than favorable to, say the least. I'm just saying it seems a little silly to sue a motherfucker because sports teams leave cities all the time in fucked up ways.
Okay. Again, it's the way it happened. And people are like, yeah, the Rams were in LA before they were in St. Louis. And you know what? You're right. I would not be that mad about the thing except for the way it went down. When they left LA the first time, to my knowledge, they did it the right way. Like, oh, hey, you got to do blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, LA doesn't give a fuck about football because they have the Lakers. So we're going to St. Louis, where Stan, who was named after Stan Musial, apparently, Cardinals legend, was like, yeah, I'll convince the owner to move it to my home city. And then he later moved away.
The man who said fuck St. Louis so hard was named after a St. Louis legend.
Yes.
That man said fuck St. Louis with a diseased dick.
Yeah.
It was named after a St. Louis legend.
Anyway.
That's fucking hilarious.
Anyway, back to the whole Boston thing. So we find out that there's 60 years of humiliating defeats in the finals for fucking St. Louis and Boston. The last time St. Louis had won one of those finals confrontations was in the 60s, when the St. Louis Hawks beat the Celtics in basketball.
That's what that was a long time ago, because the St. Louis Hawks, Jesus Christ.
After that, the St. Louis had not won anything since, and like I said, was just humiliated on the grandest stage repeatedly for 60 fucking years by this city. And that's when it clicked for me. I don't hate Boston teams just because I hate the Patriots. I hate the Boston teams because I'm a St. Louis sports fan.
I wonder how many I wonder how many people like around St. Louis hate Boston too, and they actually know about this like ingrained type of.
Not as many as I thought, because I was talking with Bob the Tomato the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, Jason Tatum's from St. Louis, and he plays for the Celtics, so I kind of want him to win." And then I was like, "Nah." He's like, "I thought you would want Jason Tatum to win this year because St. Louis guy." I'm like, "No, he plays for Boston. He plays for the enemy. Do I wish him success in his career because he's from St. Louis? Sure. Go to another team though." Hey, if I had to root against Cam Newton, who's the reason I'm a Panthers fan now, when he played for the Patriots that year, which was really hard for me to do, but I had to root against him, and I was very happy that he gave them their one bad season in the last 30 years.
Had to.
What?
Had to root against? Had?
Well, yes, he's playing for the enemy.
Like, is it? You said if I had to. It's like, if
I'm not a fucking hypocrite.
No, if I chose to, I'm fucking with you.
I'm about to say, I'm not a fucking hypocrite. I'm not gonna just
fucking
turn
with you.
around and start buying fucking Patriots jerseys or some shit.
Dude, I know I said this before, probably on a few different episodes. If the day I see you walking through, not just wearing a Patriots, but a fucking Patriots Brady jersey, I'm gonna be like, okay, this is the end of days. You are not really Omari. Somebody has kidnapped you and either brainwashed you or you are a fucking robot and the real Omari is trapped somewhere. The day you walk in wearing Patriots gear, let alone a Tom Brady jersey, something is wrong and I don't like it.
Pretty much.
What the fuck?
Pretty much. So,
Motherfucker walk in, tell yeah, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. I'm be like, what the fuck did you just fucking say?
exactly.
You take that back.
So I'm like, oh, I hate all Boston sports teams. And then I learned more about the Boston Bruins versus the Blues, who, by the way, the Bruins had faced the Blues before then. It was the last time the Blues had a shot at the Stanley Cup, and that was like 50 years beforehand, where we got swept, so humiliated by the Boston Celtics. 4-0. Like that's the thing about other sports. You can make your argument about football, them beating us, despite being a team that had no success in the past, them beating the greatest show on turf. That's not humiliating. Whatever. Even though we all know later that they cheated. And that's not me hypothesizing. They actually got caught. They cheated against the Panthers too.
They didn't rescind the championship.
No, that's not what they do in football. They're like, no, you won that. Sorry, don't let them cheat next time. They don't rescind any championships in the big leagues. Houston Astros got caught cheating. They still got their fucking World Series thing.
There's an old phrase that some people say. I don't subscribe to it, but some people believe if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Everybody cheats. Okay, everybody cheats. Those motherfuckers don't get caught, though, so I can't say anything about that. You just sound like you salty when you say that. When you get caught cheating and you're like, but everybody's doing it, you just sound salty.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Some people say that. I think that's a
and I hear you. I hear you.
No,
I don't have to like it. I don't have to like it. That don't make it right.
I'm agreeing with you. I think that's a shitty way to go through like life. Is like I'm a cheat. Like, doesn't that kill the essence? But anyway, I got you.
Yeah. But the Bruins have a statue for a fucking goalie outside of their stadium, doing like one of his most iconic moments where he's doing like a save. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then they're like, that save is from when they beat the Blues in the fucking thing. And I'm like, oh, that must have been a close series. And it turns out it was a sweep. So these motherfuckers, of all the moments they could choose for their legendary goalie, they chose an inconsequential goal in a fucking sweep. Because that goal didn't matter. Whatever goal he's saving there did not matter. It was a sweep. It was a 4-0 sweep. That's what I was going to say. Unlike football where it's one game for your championships, the other things, it's a series or best of however many games so that you truly find out which team is better.
Every single major American sport besides football is all like a series.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they all do best of 7 for their finals. So you need 4 wins.
I think you're right.
Basketball, you need 4 wins. Hockey,
Baseball,
you need 4 wins. Baseball, I'm sure you need 4 wins as well.
You do.
And we were swept in all those other geek sports. Because we also lost to the Celtics in numerous times, too. Because that time that we faced them with the St. Louis Hawks was during the Bill Russell era. So we lost against the Celtics way more times than we won back then. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. Fucking.
Oh, so was Larry Bird too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So there was envy and stuff, and I do hate the fact that Boston fans don't know what it's like to have a bad team. That's the main thing for me. It's like, how do you guys even call yourselves fans? You ain't had your fanhood tested. You know nothing but success. If I talk to a Detroit Lions fan, I'm like, yeah, you gotta be a fan of that team. They're like, you must be an actual fan. That team's giving you no reason to be one. They've not won shit in the past since
I
they
know that.
exist.
They ain't won a damn thing,
So you tell me that, you tell me you're a Cleveland Brown fan, I'm like, yeah, you must be. But fucking Boston, they never have to go through hardship. It's all winning. It's all success. It's all success. They're known as, the most successful city and stuff, and everyone else just has to look like idiots for rooting for their home teams. And if I tell you I'm a fan of something, that's why I didn't jump ship when the Panthers decided they were just going to be Rams 2.0 or St. Louis Rams 2.0 and play like shit for all eternity. I'm like, damn, I moved from the Rams to the Panthers, and they're also terrible. Well, guess I'm stuck. I said I'm a Panthers fan. I'm going to stick by the Panthers unless fucking Tom Brady starts playing for that team. I will renounce my fanship that day.
Let's say that St. Louis gets another football team. You're going to start rooting for that football team, of course, right?
Yeah.
So let's say St. Louis gets another football team, but then...
I have fucking battle... Well, then I'm not rooting for it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So it's your
that's not hypocritical. That's not me being hypocritical. I would be more of a hypocrite if I rooted for Tom Brady playing for my team. I'd be more of a hypocrite, more ridiculed, more hated than I am for hating the man on general. Like, if I were to start rooting for him just because he played for my team, the shit I would get for that. Hell no.
But what was I gonna say? No, but like he's saying, everybody though, and I know I said this before too, but everybody of a certain age, which is around our age, and of course, pretty much people who are younger for the most part, they don't really necessarily remember, so they don't have it. But everybody of a certain age who was old enough to comprehend what was going on around the time when the Patriots beat the Rams, that just kind of started a rivalry with not necessarily St. Louis and Boston, because with Pete it goes deeper. But it definitely started a rivalry with St. Louis and the Patriots. Like, everybody just of a certain age, just not a fan of the Patriots ever since that Super Bowl because of how things went down. And, we still are salty about it, and in some cases for good reason. So, there you go.
But you said you like Cam Newton and he used to play for the Patriots. All right, look at this. Cam Newton, pre-going to that team, had never lost to the Patriots. All the more reason to love him as a player. Then he goes there and he gives them, like I said, their one bad season in the last 30 years. I'm gonna fucking take that. I'm like, you know what? He's still anti the Patriots. Even if he was trying to go over there and play, he still made them not succeed. So still sees Cam Newton in a good light. Also, he came right back to the fucking Panthers. Now, our owner fucking sucks. Or the Panthers owner sucks. And for whatever reason, is all in on fucking Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. Two people who ain't done shit. Especially Sam Darnold. Former Jets player, and if you know anything about the Jets are bad. And when you're a Jet all the way. Sam Darnold is a former Jet, and plays like one. So, yeah, I don't like Sam Darnold as the quarterback. I want them to just fucking put Cam back in this season. But Cam got in a car accident and he hurt his shoulder. He clearly can't. Injured Cam, not 100% Cam Newton is still about 20% better than a Sam Darnold. I will say it. And we saw it last season. Cam had to come in mid-season and still was running touchdowns in and stuff. Yeah, he wasn't throwing a lot, but he also was throwing to former Jet Robbie Anderson. And as I mentioned, when you're a Jet all the way. So Robbie Anderson didn't help things. And Cam, the past 3 seasons with their but he's been washed up. He hasn't been able to play a whole season and/or hasn't had a whole off season to practice like other fucking quarterbacks. He just, even with the Patriots, he got thrown in at the last season, at the last week, right before the preseason or something. They're let's sign Cam. And then he got COVID halfway through that season. So he didn't play the whole season. And that team was fucking trash because 9 of their people took off for COVID. They just took the season off because they didn't want to deal with COVID. Last year, he comes on to the Panthers halfway through the season because Darnold got injured. So he's coming back to the Panthers, but he don't know nobody. He knows very few people that are still here. You know what I mean? And he don't have a lot of time to actually practice. So I want Cam to actually have a fucking off season where he can actually practice with his players, get healthy, and go into the season. And let's see what happens before we start trying to call the man washed up.
Have you ever excuse me? Have you ever put money on like a game, just period?
I live in Florida. It's illegal. I would.
I'm not talking about through no like, because I mean, technically.
No, I'm being honest, and that's the main reason why I haven't.
Because I'm like, well, like technically, ain't nobody supposed to record the game and give it to a friend. Everybody do that shit because unless you have the express written consider the NFL.
And I hear you, but I haven't really put. If you're talking about like, oh, I bet you like $5,
like better
something
10,
like that,
friend buy $5, $10.
More than likely, but like put money on something, no. Because I can't.
I'm not talking about like the odds are,
definitely. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s. Yes, I've done that at some point in my life. I can't tell you the last game that I did that with, but it would if I did it, my ass has been broke my whole fucking life. So it was probably like a $5 or something like that. But if there's been other games where I'm like, I would bet for this team because the payoff is good enough, I'm like, I'd waste $10 betting on this team that has no business winning, and just for a fucking roll of the dice. Like, sure, if I'm gonna spend like $2 or $3 on a lottery ticket, I can spend some money on a fucking lottery ticket and be like, eh.
Well, like I think like I was gonna say, like I was just curious because I think that putting money on not like a whole lot, but just putting money on something that you and your friend, brother, whatever the fuck, shit, maybe your girl if she's into it, whatever. But putting money on something like that with somebody makes it a little more fun.
Oh no, it does.
Provided you don't get so swept up into it. Because I've seen some motherfuckers that get caught up and they're like, what the fuck? Oh shit! And I'm like,
because that's their money.
That's why I ain't never put like, because
you were asking why people like sports, so we talked about that too. I'm like, gambling adds to that. That's an investment at that point.
That definitely right. But I was just saying, like, I have not necessarily. I've been broke for a good amount of my life. Like, I guess I got better at saving as time went on. But whether I have been broke or not, I've been a cheap ass my whole life. So I ain't put a whole lot of money up. So I ain't put no $100 or nothing. Because then I would be sitting there like, oh shit.
Depending on when I was working, that probably would have been my max bet. I would have put on something, but it would have had to have been something I considered a stone cold lock of the century of the week. Shout outs to Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But Scott Van Pelt's show, he had a segment where he had the guy that voices Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and this is my stone cold lock of the century of the week. And he talked about some bet that he thought was really, really solid. But yeah, I would bet more, which is probably a good thing that it's not legal down here. But
gambling is not legal in Florida at all.
No, well, unless you go to sports betting, especially. You can go to a casino, but you have to go to specific casinos. Me, I'm like, why not try to convince them to do a partnership with these people where they get a cut of that, and we can get sports betting down here? Because there's been a lot of things where I'm like, I would bet on this team, and I'm like, damn, I could have made some money. I probably could have lost some money too, but I would have made a decent amount by now. I wouldn't be rich.
I didn't know stuff was that, like, what's the word, regulated like that. Because, like, for instance, and we did do a whole show not talking about wrestling, but whoops. But no, for instance, like I said, me and my brother, we on, like, and I had the idea for the last few pay-per-views, and now we do it going forward for all the AEW pay-per-views, where we bet that, like, what we do is we say, like, we do the predictions of who's gonna win. Like, okay, out of the whole night of, let's say, how many matches, 9, 12, whatever matches, we each pick who we think is gonna win, and whoever gets the most picks wins. And then the loser has to treat the winner to wherever they want to eat. So you got to pick dude up, take him where he wants to go, and then buy his food up to $25 before tax. So yeah. And we haven't cashed in on mine from this month, but I won last month and this month. And then we got, so we're gonna keep it going forward for them. But that's why I was asking. It does make it more fun, and it's something we do now. But we also, like I say, I can't. I'm too much of a cheap motherfucker that even if I know the 90% chance of me being right, I can't do $100. I'm too much of a cheap ass.
Well, so I said, for me, it would have to be. No, I would have to be in a solid enough position monetarily to do so, but 100 is one of those like max bets I would put on something at least at this phase of my life until I become like rich, in which case it'll probably be like 1,000.
I get people getting swept up in sports to like that where they get mad and what the fuck if they got $1,000 on it. It's like I get that. Yeah. Like let me and Ibn bet like each other's rent. Man, I'd be in this motherfucker like, if you don't fucking win, you pay that shit.
Why is that not a finisher? Why are they kicking out of everything these days?
Then I'd depend. Because I'd be like, I gotta pay my rent and his? Oh, shit. No, I'd be mad as fuck.
Yeah, but I try to follow a rule when it comes to betting, because gambling is very addictive. I try to follow the colloquial rule of never bet more than you can afford to lose.
Even if you think you're gonna win, that's true.
Yeah, never bet more than you can afford to lose. So that's why I'm like, I could see myself in the right monetary state where I'm like, well, I was thinking about buying a game anyway and buying the DLC and stuff, and with that, that's $100 I'm throwing away, in that regard. So if I can do this $100 and possibly get a lot more, why not? Same thing with like stocks and whatnot, because let's be honest, people, stock market and stuff, that's literally just gambling.
It is, yeah.
You put in some money.
It's on a fucking dime.
You put in some money and bet that this money is going to be worth more eventually.
Well,
and now the difference between the two is stock market is not illegal in Florida, but I'm also not rich enough to play it. So,
well, stock market also doesn't just like that's it and it's over. Now stock market like appreciates over time, appreciates, depreciates, and it's like slow trickles up, slow trickles down and all this shit, as opposed to instant gratification.
Yeah. So now if you're asking if I ever put any money in the stock market, it may be a little, but yes.
My aunt has put money in for us since we were kids. I don't fully understand necessarily what all has happened and how to play the damn stock market, but she put money in for all us kids around that time we were younger. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, like I'm gonna buy you stock in so and so. Okay. Can I go back to playing now? What the fuck?
What is stocks? It's okay.
Pretty much.
Wasn't until 2020 that I learned anything for real about the stock market my damn self. But that's because I had much options to do anything at home, and I also didn't have enough money to actually use said knowledge, what little there was.
Let me put money on the line, and a good substantial amount of money on the line in a fucking basketball game against you or Ibn. Man, my fucking don't watch fucking basketball ass. I'll be sitting there, man, it's so I'll be like knowing motherfuckers' names.
Your ass don't know football and you won a fucking fantasy league.
I did?
Yeah, remember that one year?
Oh, because y'all put me in it or
something. No, I'm sorry. No, you got second place. My bad.
I ended up placing second?
Yes, with your fucking auto-pick team.
Didn't know what I was doing, didn't pick shit.
And you happened to get Justin Tucker on the team.
Wow.
as your kicker who helped you win a few games. And Justin Tucker is a great kicker in the NFL. And he's also the kicker I always try to get whenever I play fantasy football ever since. It was funny, though, because Justin Tucker's first initial is J. My roommate and I have another first name for him. You can probably guess what it is, especially considering you drafted him.
The Jazz. I think you told me that. Told me that at some point. Yeah, that's funny.
Jazz Tucker. Like, that's just what my roommate calls him. And he means it in a good way because he's a really good kicker. Of
course,
guy's the best kicker.
I would hope that it wasn't. I would hope that it wasn't like the fucking like worst person ever, motherfucker. Like, you know, looks at shit and thinks it's chocolate. You know, he's that fucking stupid. You know, oh, Jazz Tucker, yeah. Oh, this guy,
chocolate.
He goes over here. And, do you remember? I thought about this for a second. We'll wind it down so we can't fully go into it. But do you remember that we summer of filming that we did, and that one scene where I come out and say, "Hey, I got this chocolate from the doorknob on my hand" when I walk out the bathroom? Were you there for that?
I think so.
It was a melted Hershey's, so it really was chocolate, and it was for kids. I was a kid at the fucking time, but
was it? Are we talking about the that was great? Do it again type thing?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
And I walk out and I got this chocolate from the doorknob on my hand, and that was really in the fucking script. It really was. And I remember the dude had a melted ass Hershey's and put it on there, and he's like, "Get it, okay?" Oh my god! And they really, y'all really made that much like.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you were an alien. You didn't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of alien, we're humans, and if you want to follow us humans, then you can go ahead and look on social media where humans interact. And for instance,
really,
if you want to find
an episode on my hatred for Boston teams.
Well, I was somewhat going away, and then you kept going back because you were like, "No, I got to make my point." I was like, "All right." Anyway, so if you would like to follow me, then first off, the one thing that you can do is I am a rapper. I get my MC on. So anywhere that you stream your music, you can go ahead and look up Superjaz, which would be spelled Superjaz, and the album My Secret Identity. You may have to put in Superjaz, My Secret Identity, since I'm not so famous yet. And like I said, that is anywhere you stream your music. Also, you can go ahead, find and follow me on Twitter, which would be under Superjaz 2.
Superjaz 2.
I was waiting for you to say, I was waiting for it. I was waiting. As nature intended. Twice. No, Superjaz 2. So that would be Superjaz number 2. And of course, if you would like to, go ahead, find and follow me on my Instagram, which would be under Forever Superjaz. The word forever is spelled correctly. Also, before he says his stuff, we always talk about wrestling unintentionally, so we decided to once a month make it where we talk about wrestling intentionally. So on this exact same channel, first Sunday of every month, we got First Sunday Wrestling for all our wrestling heads out there who want to hear what two lifelong friends that can't shut up about wrestling actually have to say when they're supposed to talk about it. Where can they find you, man?
Well, first off, you can find me here every week, every Wednesday on the Whatever We Want podcast. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube at feogrande. That is Feo Grande. Got some channels. I actually have regular stuff popping up on that channel now weekly. So, I've got the other podcast I do with my good friend Bill Smith, where we talk about various movies that one or the other hasn't seen. I believe this week or yesterday came out, we did Jesus Christ Superstar. So check that out. Also on my channel, I've started a series called Learn D Lore, where I talk about the story of One Piece as kind of like a catch-up series. Get people caught up with it. I want you to read the official product and all, but it's one of those things where I kind of go through it my own little way and tell you what the story is so you can catch up and experience it with the rest of us. Because it's about to enter its final saga, Jazz.
Even like they said, it's been going on forever.
25 years.
That's nuts.
Anyway, also you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by.
And like I say, shout out to Bill Smith because they're gonna get me on an episode of that one day.
We need to, and same with this one and him.
Yeah. We need to get. We should have been got him on one of these.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He helped us facilitate the live one. So, but yeah. All that being said. Whether it be your hatred of Boston for the entire time, whether it be
I was
how much
egged on to do
for a second, and then I tried to move on, and you were like, "No, motherfucker, I got a point."
Well, don't ask for the question if you don't want to hear all the answer.
I didn't say I didn't want to hear all the answer. I just said I tried to move away about 3 times, and you were like, "Anyway." So that being said. Anyway, fuck are we gonna talk about next?
Whatever we want, even if it is about Boston, but probably not.
Be nice to yourself, everybody.
Adios, this.